What's up guys, JC here. Last week I made this video about how to get into the United States Service Academies, and if you guys haven't watched that video yet, I highly recommend watching that one first before you watch this one, because this video is all going to be about some of the things that I wasn't able to get to talk about, some things I didn't get to, or something that I didn't explain well enough. So this video is going to be just all about that. It's going to be no new information, and so let's get started. So the first thing I want to talk about is that the academies care about your heart and if you really have the passion to go. The academies don't have to be your top priority school, but it definitely helps if it is, and you want to make that known in your application. I definitely made it clear in my application when during the essays or the interview, I made sure to tell them that I was applying to all 5 service academies. Even though the Naval Academy was my favorite academy, I told them I was willing to go wherever the military needed me. I even stressed in my interviews and my essays that if I didn't get in the first time, I was willing to apply the next year and the year after that, because that's how much it meant to me. Before I go into talk about the prep schools, I just want to reassure the audience that there's a ton of cases at the academies of people that have reapplied over and over again and got accepted on their second or third try. So it's definitely possible, and in my opinion, I think it actually makes you look like a better candidate because it shows that you're committed and that you're willing to wait a couple years in order to get admitted to the school. Alright, so talking about the prep schools, all the academies with the exception of the Merchant Marine Academy have a preparatory school that they send around 200 kids to per year in order to develop in some of the areas that they're deficient in, such as test scores, GPA, or physical CFA scores. Now, it is a whole year that you might think of as a waste or some time away from actually getting in college, but I definitely recommend the prep school program if you guys get admitted, because it's a great opportunity and you guys get just an extra year of preparation before you actually get into college. So I'm actually a prep schooler. I went to the Naval Academy prep school last year because my grades took a drop during my junior year of high school, a couple B's, and that really hurt my grade. I was able to recover from that, take a lot of AP classes after that, and I raised my GPA a little bit, but I guess it wasn't enough to cut it going straight into the Naval Academy. And so if you guys have any questions about the Naval Academy prep school or any other prep school programs, definitely comment down in the comment section. All right, so one more thing about prep schools is it's actually an interview question. So when you go into your congressional nomination interviews, one of the questions that you're probably going to be asked is, are you willing to take a year of prep school if you don't get admitted right away? And I definitely recommend you saying yes if you're definitely committed, because that just shows that you're committed to take an extra year or 2 years to get into the school that you really want, and it'll only make you look better. Yeah, so again, I just wanted to stress that the academies don't just see you as a number. They're not just going to look at your SAT scores and your test scores and your GPA. Like, that's what makes the academies different from the normal colleges, is because they look at your wanting to serve in the military, you know, your leadership potential, and all this stuff racked up in a package. Looking at my last video, I noticed that I kind of made it seem like you had to do all these things in order to get in, but that's completely not true. That whole plan that I drew out was just something that was helpful to me, but in fact, I didn't really follow that plan until around the late sophomore year or beginning of junior year for me, because I didn't even know about the academies until then. One of the biggest questions I've been getting after my last video is, what can I do if I don't get accepted? And that's a really good question. I highly recommend reapplying, and a lot of people actually tend to enlist in the Navy or their respective military areas. They wait until they get through basic training and then reapply. We have a ton of cases at the Naval Academy where people have enlisted and transferred over to the Naval Academy right after their basic school in order to attend and become an officer. We call those people Mustangs, and there's a lot of cases like that at the Naval Academy. If enlisting is not for you, you could definitely spend another year at a community college or another college, spend a couple years and try and reapply after that. Or you can also go into the ROTC program that I mentioned in the last video. Something that I didn't mention in the last video that's pretty important is JROTC, Boys State and Girls State, and Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts. Those 3 things in particular look really good on the application. There's a whole box on it that you could check off if you've done it. If you've been an Eagle Scout or just a Boy Scout or Girl Scout in general. If you've gone to the Boys or Girls State Conference, if you guys don't know what that is, definitely search it up online or ask your high school counselors. They'll probably know about it. It's a huge conference that's held in each individual state, and they send some of the smartest schools from every high school over. So definitely try looking into that and seeing if you are eligible to apply. And JROTC also looks really good on the application. In addition to that, Sea Cadets also looks really good on the application as well. Alright, so another big question I got from my last video is talking a little bit more about the nominations process and what that's going to look like for high schoolers going in. So when your junior year comes around and you're starting to apply for different congressional nominations, you need to actually go on the website of your local congressman or congresswoman and search up for that congressional nomination application. Every congressman and woman should have an application directly on their website, and if not, you can definitely email them and they'll send you one right away. It's just as simple as filling out the application, turning it on time, and then you'll get a notification to set up an appointment for an interview. And that's when you're going to be interviewed amongst a board of officers from that academy, and so you're going to want to start preparing for that early. Some helpful tips for the interview is just dressing appropriately. You want to have a professional look when you're going into your interviews. You want to make sure to dress everyone as sir and ma'am, and look everyone in the eyes and shake their hand before you sit down for the interview. So definitely expect the first question to probably just be something about yourself. They're going to ask you, talk about a little bit about yourself, what makes you different from other candidates. And you also definitely want to think about things that make you stand out and make you different from the normal applicant that would be attending. And there's definitely going to be either valedictorians or salutatorians or people that are ahead of their class, and so you want to make sure that you make yourself unique and different. A lot of you guys asked about what my extracurricular activities were and what clubs I was involved in. I didn't really want to talk about myself that much, but just for you guys and helping you guys gauge at where you guys should be aiming for, I was the president and founder of 2 clubs at my high school, the cycling club as well as the Junior State of America club. And that's just kind of a mock trial club that competes against other schools in debates and stuff like that. I was also an officer for 5 other clubs. It was Korean Club, California Scholarship Federation, Students for the Ethical Treatment of Animals Club, and some other clubs that I just totally forgot. It was like 2 years ago. So I volunteered a lot at church. I was a Sunday school teacher for early childhood, and I also volunteered at the local pet shelter a lot. Of course, that wasn't my whole resume. I added a lot of other stuff like my water polo rewards, the awards I got for swimming and stuff like that, but definitely try and get involved in school by joining at least a club and then try and become an officer for a club as well. Alright, another question I got in the comments section was, is it a big deal if you don't get accepted to the summer seminar? And again, I just kind of want to reiterate that a lot of the stuff I'm telling you guys is not something that you have to do. Like the plan that I shared in my last video, it's not something that you have to do. You could complete the application like on the very last minute and probably still get accepted. There are a lot of kids at the academy where the Naval Academy or the Service Academy was not their priority school, so they just weren't thinking about it a lot, and that's totally fine. You don't need to attend summer seminar. You don't need to get a 1400 SAT score or a 4.2 GPA. These are not things that are required in order to get in, but these are things that I've seen during my applications process that would really help in getting you accepted. And so don't feel worried that you guys didn't get into summer seminar, you guys just didn't apply. There's a lot of kids at the academies that still got in without even having attended summer seminar, so don't stress about that either. Sorry, that goes for AP classes as well. So you don't need to take as much AP classes. And something about AP classes or IB classes, yes, you definitely want to challenge yourself, but don't take AP classes that you know you're not going to do well in. I was sure to only take AP classes that I knew I was going to ace or at the very least get a B. And so you want to make sure that you choose performance over pushing yourself.